Have you ever found yourself saying, I'll just wait till the market settles, or I'll just wait till prices drop? If that sounds familiar, I'm going to need you to pay close attention to what I'm about to say. Welcome back. My name is George. I've done a multiple strategies such as flips, rent-to-rents, HMOs. And in this video, I'm going to show you how procrastination isn't just costing you time, but it's also killing your future wealth. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how waiting just 12 months is slowly killing over £50,000 potentially of your future wealth. And more importantly, I'm going to show you the right steps to take to avoid doing so. All right, now let's start with a bit of a reality check. So most new investors think that there's a perfect time to invest in property, but let's actually look at what the data shows us. Now, this is the property market since 1967. And since then, can you notice something? There's been quite a few crashes. Now, if we come closer to around here, you'll see stuff such as Brexit, even the pandemic. However, the long-term trajectory has always been in an upwards direction. Now, let's look at some specific numbers. So in Leeds, the average price, as it says here, was 245,000 in December of 2024, which is up 7.1% from 2023. Now that was higher than the rise in Yorkshire, which is at 5.9, but we can just keep the numbers easy by saying that property prices tend to go up by 5%. Now, this is an accurate description of what goes on in the major cities of the UK. Now, waiting isn't just about missing on that growth. It's about the compound effect that that has in the future. Now, we'll get into some specific numbers in a second. Because when you delay property investment, you're not just missing out on just that growth alone. You're missing out on the growth on that growth, on the growth on that growth, and obviously over time. And that's when the erosion really happens, when you wait a long period of time before you actually do something. Now, let's take a concrete example here. For example, you got a £200,000 purchase price and a £50,000 deposit. Now, we're just going to assume a 5% annual rate, which is pretty accurate for the growth that happens every single year on property. So in the first year, the property would have gone up to 210, and then by 5% on that 210, you're looking at 220, and then 5% on that 220, you're looking at all the way down to 255,000. So in 5 years, from a £200,000 purchase price, the property would have increased up to 255,000. Now that's £105,000 growth in equity over that period of time. Now, if we look at the same thing that would have happened if you would have just waited 1 year to buy that same property. Now, after waiting just 1 year, that property is now worth £210,000, which means that your initial deposit now goes up to £52,500, requiring, obviously, that's a higher deposit. So now, after 5 years from today, your equity will be just £93,000 instead of that £105,000 earlier. Now that's a difference of £12,000 in equity alone, but that's not the whole story. Because when we extend this to a 10-year period, which is very realistic to hold property, the difference becomes quite staggering, right? The investor who started today would have £183,000 in equity, while the one who would have waited just 1 year to purchase that same property would have gained £162,000 in equity. Now that's a £21,000 difference. And that's not even factoring the rental income, which will also increases over time. Now, please understand that this isn't theoretical. This happens all the time, year in, year out, with people who think they can time the right time to enter the market, and they've got that bit of hesitation. And as you can see by this example, it's killing their future potential. But what is really causing that hesitation? Now, in my experience, there's 4 main things really that cause people to have that hesitation and causes them to pause a bit before pulling the trigger and investing in that property. Number 1 is analysis paralysis. So they have an overwhelming feeling of needing to research every single possible scenario before making a move. Now, this leads to information overload, and obviously it ultimately leads to inaction. Now the second thing is waiting for the perfect moment. Now, this is a mistaken belief that there will be obvious signals when the market is at its perfect entry point. Now, let me be clear. Throughout my entire experience in property, there has never really been a perfect moment to enter the market. because we've seen stuff like COVID, Brexit, elections, that there's never really a perfect time. There's always going to be something going on. Now, number 3 is decision fatigue. Now, that's really comes from exhaustions that come from weighing in too many options without a clear framework to make decisions. And we scroll down to number 4, and that's the fear of making mistakes. So that's that worry that you'll choose the wrong property or the wrong timing or the wrong area. And that fear often comes from treating property investment like as a perfect science rather than a strategic process. Now, these hesitations are costing you far more than the actual fluctuation in the market. But luckily for you, there's a way that we can overcome these limiting beliefs. And it all has to be done with the right approach. Now, I'm not suggesting you're going blindly, of course not. You'd be a fool to do so. But what I'm saying is you need to have strategic decision-making process in place to make sure you are making the right investment in the right area to get the right returns for your future. So here's a step-by-step framework that you can use in order to help you make the best decision and really get rid of that limiting belief and that hesitation that's costing you so much. So step 1 is to define your investment parameters before looking for a single property. So what are your non-negotiables? So what is your non-negotiable when it comes to the maximum purchase price, the maximum yield or return on investment that you're looking to achieve? Location, really, because that's basically one of the most important parts. And the property type. Do you want to invest in a 2-bed terrace, a 3-bed semi-detached? Now, once you create this automatically filters out all the types of properties that you should get and you shouldn't be looking at. So now you've got a bit of clarity of what you're looking for, what your number should be, and what areas you should go into. Step 2 is to think about potential exit routes. Now, are you holding for the long term, in the next 10, 20, 30 years? Or is it something that you want to have short term where you just want to see the property increase in value over time and then sell it afterwards? Or do you want to build up equity so that you can refinance and then go again and buy another one? Now, when you have these multiple strategies, the risk of any single decision becomes manageable, essentially. Step 3 is to stress test your investment. So really, ideally, you want to be doing your numbers based on a 5% interest rate. What would happen if there was a 3-month void period? And you want to add an extra 10% to any renovation costs that you might have. Now, if your investment can withstand this pressure, then it's likely that it's going to succeed and you can proceed ahead with it. Now, number 4 is to set deadlines for yourself, something that you can follow and simple action steps that you can take to get you on your way to getting that first or your next property investment. So for example, maybe you want to do 30 days for market research, just if you're really busy and you've got other commitments that you want to pay attention to. So maybe you want to do 30 days of market research, right? Or maybe you want to do 7 days of property analysis once you've found the right property. So maybe that's speaking to agents, maybe that's getting comparables, maybe that's finding out what the rental income is going to be. Maybe that's doing due diligence on the area. And then once you know all these things, essentially you want to be making an offer within 24 hours. Now, step 5 is to take insane amounts of action. So you want to view properties weekly, you want to speak with mortgage brokers all the time, and you want to make offers on your top choices. Now, each small action puts you in a good position to be able to make a decision and help you get momentum towards your final decision. Now, remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all risk. It's to make calculated decisions despite of that uncertainty, and that's what the successful investors do. Now, the UK market has created more millionaires than any other industry, but the longer you wait, the more you're reducing your future growth in wealth. And that's not because of the market might crash, it's simply due to the compounding effect of capital growth. And if you found this video useful, make sure you like, subscribe, press the notification bell and watch this video here or here to see whether flats or houses should be the best investment for you.